I call silver a material that is responsible for the material living standard of humankind. There's a lot of chatter out there right now about COMEX, and just because there's a market that is a paper market where 200 to 300 times the amount of silver that's available trades in any 24-hour period, in and of itself might be the manipulation. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Bullion Standard episode. Today is Thursday, December 4th, 2025. The title of today's video is The Rise of Silver. Charlie,
The reliable rise of silver.
Thank you for making that correction. Charlie, how are you today? How's everything going?
I'm doing great, thank you. I'm ready to have another conversation. We haven't really spent a lot of time recently talking, so it's nice to sit down with you and get to catch up a little bit. And I love our time together here, and it's very exciting to look back at the last few days, maybe the last couple of weeks really, and we get to kind of fillet open what has been going on with silver.
Interesting it is. The market has been moving rapidly. We obviously just had a new all-time high for silver recently. A lot of volatility in the past few weeks, but the price of silver has been solidly in a new all-time high, particularly, Charlie, in the $58.50 range.
Did you think that when we were having our initial conversations about silver, when you were saying it's time to load the boat, when we had a pullback, I can't remember when, 2022 maybe? You correct me if I'm wrong. We went down to $17 an ounce, and we were having an investment meeting, and you said, it's unbelievable how cheap it is right now. This is absolutely insane. Load the boat.
We've been having conversations together, Charlie, about silver probably since the year 2017 or 2018. But what you're talking about specifically, yes, is the dip we had in October 2022 when silver went all the way down to about $16 or $17 per ounce. The comment I made at that time, as somebody who had been participating, observing the market for a very long time, is that silver is so critical and so fundamental. It has so much utility for humankind that was just way too cheap of a price. $16 or $17 an ounce in a flash crash or a flash dip. It was way too cheap. I was pounding the absolute craziness out of the table, trying to drum up some interest for those who followed.
Yeah.
And
you were very confident, and that's why our conversation today is about the reliable rise of silver.
Obviously, silver has moved from that dip, call it 16, 17 bucks an ounce, all the way up to $58.50. And today it's pulled back a bit, trading in the high $56, low $57 range. But it appears to me, Charlie, that silver's putting in a floor here. But to give a little bit of an overview about what we want to talk about today, we want to talk about silver's role as a monetary asset. We want to talk about the industrial use cases for silver. We talked on a prior episode. We would give a little bit more insight into what they are. And, I call silver a material that is responsible for the material living standard of humankind. If we did not have silver, we would not enjoy the first world standard of living that I enjoy, that you enjoy, that you at home out there watching this video enjoys. It's so fundamentally important. It's in so many things. It's irreplaceable, and we are very lucky to have silver. And it's one of those things that for the past several years now has been in supply deficit. This means we're consuming more of it than it comes out of the ground each year. A mutually exclusive outcome is certain when you have a commodity that's responsible for the material standard of humankind that's in supply deficit. Option A. More commodity has to come online to service how much is consumed.
Okay, let me pause you for 1 second, because I was reading an article over the last few days, and I can't remember where it was, but it was something like even at like $50 to $55 an ounce, that's not a high enough price to properly incentivize, we'll call it the mining sector, the explorers, the mid tiers, and then ultimately the big producers. What is your thought on that?
There's two different costs here. Well, let me say option B was or is the commodity has to go away. Mutually exclusive outcome. Option A, enough commodity has to come online to service the amount consumed. Option B, the commodity goes away. It's very unlikely. I don't believe the commodity is going to go away.
So demand has to go down, essentially.
Exactly.
Okay.
Demand has to go down.
Got it.
But what you're speaking of is that there's two different kind of numbers here when we talk about mining silver. There's the AISC, the all-in sustaining cost, that minimum amount of money per ounce to at least service their cost to produce the material. And then we have the incentive price of production. That is obviously way higher than the AISC. That is what you're speaking to. It doesn't cost 50 something dollars to produce all in, but the incentive cost is a lot higher, and obviously it has to go higher and it has to stay higher.
I imagine that's variable too, and everyone has their own idea of what will properly incentivize them, or every team or mining conglomerate probably has a different price where they would say, oh, it's time to really get into action here.
A big silver major like First Majestic Silver or one of the very large silver mines, they would have a different all-in sustaining cost than a very highly speculative junior producer might have that has a single asset. That's because they enjoy, like these bigger firms enjoy a lower cost of capital. There's some companies out there who enjoy a lower cost of capital just because of the human being running the company, just purely on promotion. It's very notable in the uranium market.
Well, you might also say reputation as well.
Correct. So yeah, the incentive price for silver, it needs to go a lot higher for new mine production to come online. And also, Charlie, new silver production primarily comes as a byproduct of other mining operations. There are very few pure play silver mines out there. So it's usually some other commodity, like in copper it's mixed in, and other base metals it's mixed in. There are pure play silver mines. Most of it's in Mexico, but by far and large, it's definitely a byproduct type of thing. And so when we need more silver to come online, and the price of silver is going ballistic, it might not be representative to the supply-demand fundamentals of that other commodity that is mined as a byproduct of.
So we've got mines out there that are producing, and they're going to be spitting off a little bit of silver regardless. And so that's just a very reliable source of a certain amount of ounces every year. Is that safe enough to say?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
So let's talk about silver's industrial side, the use cases for this material.
Okay, here we go. List out all the reasons why it's reliable that silver price will continue to go up, with some squiggly lines between now and then.
It's used in solar panels. It's used in battery technology. These are the two really, really big ones that consume the lion's share of silver output. The thing is that we want to pay attention to is that as technology improves for these two use cases specifically, as more time goes on, the technology around solar and battery is rapidly increasing. Samsung has a new solid-state battery technology, and the loadings of silver required are more and more and more. The new solid-state batteries use way more silver than past battery technology does. And so if we want to talk about like a long-range, like 1,500-mile battery pack in a Tesla or something 5 or 10 years from now, that thing would have several kilos worth of silver in that battery.
Kyle, there's a term for when you have an input that goes into a product or a good that is such a small percentage of the total cost of that at the end of the day. With solar, silver is that exact situation where silver is like such a small cost for the total end value of the panel that if you're going to double the amount of silver needed in the solar panel, it's going to be such a small percentage increase in the price of the solar panel that it will not actually, create a demand side fall.
Let's go back to the platinum group metals. The loadings in a catalytic converter, just like the loadings in these silver use cases for industry, China, Brazil, Russia, every year that goes by, they're continually increasing their emissions regimes, which require more and more and more loadings of physical platinum group metals into these catalytic converters. No matter what happens to the price, because there's, I don't know, like 5 to 10 grams of platinum group metals in the standard catalytic converter right now, it doesn't matter what platinum does. It doesn't matter what rhodium does. Rhodium went to $30,000 an ounce, just shy of, and it didn't make any difference in the final value of the finished product, the car.
Well, a small difference, but it's like such a fraction.
Infinitesimally small.
Right. Okay, so there's a term for that, and so that's very important to talk about because it means that the price of silver for some of these, demand side part of the equation, it just really supports a reliable future floor in the price of silver.
So let's talk about some other use case. Yes, you're right. So the price of silver could double, triple, quadruple, and it wouldn't really have a material impact on the need or the criticality of the uses, and we would still process them as if silver didn't double, triple, or quadruple.
Right. And that's probably not true for everything, but solar panels, cell phones. I don't know about the batteries you just spoke to, but maybe it is.
So we also have high performance electronics. We have use cases for silver in medical. We've talked about on a prior episode, silver is a germicide. It's a biocide. It's used in wound dressings. It's used in antimicrobial coatings.
It's used in dressings and wound dressings?
Yes, because
in the fabric?
Yes.
I had no idea. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's used in hospital settings and in hospital surfaces because of these unique properties it has.
Huh.
We talked about on another episode how silverware was made out of silver. Bacteria cannot survive on the surface of silver. It's just one of the great things of the universe.
One of the alien metals.
I wouldn't call silver an alien metal. I specifically reserve that for the platinum group metals. And we have water purification technology.
Half alien.
Yep.
Okay.
We have water purification and filtration. Silver is being used as a sterilization medium in water filtration. There's a new water treatment plant being built around here that'll be ready in a few years. We have RFID chips. We have photography still uses a lot of silver. That was the big demand driver going back like to the 90s, 2000s, and before digital photography became a thing. Ton of silver consumed in photography. We have alloys. We have chemical catalysts, mirrors and optics. Silver has amazing reflectivity properties to it. So does rhodium too. Rhodium is more reflective than silver, and it's if you had a mirror and you coated that mirror with silver or rhodium and you shined a flashlight at it, it would just blind you, the light that came back. So we have silver oxide batteries. We have military applications.
Oh man, just think about the shift in the arms race that has begun and that will continue, and how much silver are militaries around the world going to demand? How much have they already demanded? Do you think, Kyle, that the reliable rise in price recently over the last, what are we going to call it, 6 months maybe, has been due to big demand on our militaries across the globe?
Yeah, it probably has some demand. I do not know what that is, unfortunately.
I don't think very many people do.
Very many people don't. There's a gentleman who is very popular out there on social media, and he would suggest something like a monster box of silver, 500 ounces, is in the
Tomahawk
warhead tip of a Tomahawk cruise missile.
I've heard that, yeah.
It makes sense. We don't know specific loadings for all weapons or military application, but they use a lot of silver. They use a ton of silver.
So one thing to note as well is that, once that weapon gets the silver, it's never coming back. That is a supply side evaporation. It's gone to silver heaven, will never be seen again.
Silver heaven is a very sad place because obviously it's never coming back. And let me add to that, all of the silver used in most industry doesn't get recycled. There's some part of it that comes back into the system through recycling. But if we're talking about a little chip and
like the amount of silver in here, it costs way too much money to try and get that silver back. It's never going to happen.
We're talking about a little memory card and it's silver or gold plated on the contact chips. That's never coming back into the system.
The cost to recover that absolutely far exceeds the value of the metal.
Correct. So the point is this, Charlie. Silver is now used in technologies that have no easy substitute. When demand grows in these sectors, consumers will have to pay more, and that's just kind of how the trend will go.
Well, let's go back. So what is the consumer paying more? Is it 1 penny for the phone? 2 pennies? Is it $1? You have phones are, a few $100s to $1,500 now if you want to go get a brand new phone. So is it going to be $20? If it was an extra $20 or $50 of silver for a phone, I don't think it's even anywhere near that. People would probably still be buying phones, right?
The reason why people will have to pay more in time is because we have this standard of living we all have become accustomed to, and we only expect it to increase going forward.
Are we going to start talking about human behavior again? Do I get to riff on that a little bit?
You can riff on that in just a bit here. So let's talk about the 2 big hot topic items out there in discussion today, specifically on social media. There's a lot of chatter going on right now about what is going on in the LBMA, the London Bullion Market Association, and the COMEX, the Commodities Exchange, New York and Chicago. This is where the futures market is made. There is inventoried 1,000-ounce silver bars that kind of back up the futures market. And there's a category called registered, and there's a category called eligible. And we'll go into more about that in just a moment.
And let's also talk about futures contracts and how that plays into it, and what the relevance of that is for the future demand on silver.
Well, just to give a high level overview, the futures market is for commodities. It's basically a derivatives market. It allows a commodity producer or someone who's interested in trading that commodity to have a guaranteed price that they would get. Originally, I think the concept was for like farmers who produced grain or corn or wheat or something like that, and they wanted to have more stability with future pricing of their crop. And so the commodities market was created for that. And so you could trade all these different types of futures commodities. There's also 2 other derivatives called a forward, which is kind of like a futures contract, but it's very specific between 2 very specific parties. And then we have the options market. Obviously, Charlie, options are the right, but not the obligation to buy or sell an underlying security at some future point in time for a strike price. And then, very volatile if you're trading options, obviously, but could definitely blow yourself up with options if you are gambling with those. So let's talk about what's going on with the COMEX. There's a lot of chatter out there right now about the COMEX and this market where about 200 to 300 times the amount of silver that trades in a 24-hour period, that amount trades that's available for good delivery actually in the COMEX.
So you're saying 200 to 300 times the physical amount that is available is traded in this derivatives market?
200 to 300 times the amount that's available for good delivery trades in one day in any 24-hour period. You might, the question might obviously come to mind where it's like, well, what happens if all of those participants immediately stood for physical delivery?
Right. What's the reconciliation there?
The reconciliation is that someone isn't getting their silver, and they would be cash settled. And the COMEX can make up their rules. They can switch things around. But the point is, there's been a long-standing, not conspiracy, but a long-standing lack of trust with this system and this market. People out there going back 50 years would say, oh, it's a manipulated market.
Well, didn't we have some of our bigger banking institutions actually get caught doing monkeying around and like manipulating the markets? And didn't they actually get fined multiple times?
And they also went to jail. You're talking specifically about JP Morgan and an activity known as spoofing. This is where you would publish a bid or an ask, and you would not have any intention on actually following through with it. I think
So it's fraud.
Yes, I think it violates antitrust laws, which is a federal crime, obviously. But the fact that there's this long-standing, 50-year-long conspiracy to manipulate the price of silver, I think what people might refer to with this is the fact that just because there's a market that is a paper market where 200 to 300 times the amount of silver that's available trades in any 24-hour period, in and of itself might be the manipulation. And we mean that by the fact that true price discovery can't happen with this commodity in a system that exists like that. So what is the true value of silver? It's probably not $50 an ounce. If I had to take a complete stab in the dark, I would say based on today's utility of silver, it's probably some number with a 1 in front of it.
Is it some number with a 2 in front of it?
And 2 digits after that. I would think in some kind of highly speculated blow-off top market, that number might have a 2 or 3 in front of it with 2 digits after. But I don't know. I don't know how crazy things could get out there to where somebody would be trading with silver at that price. But
okay, so some people might look at this, really big run up that we've had in silver and say, well, maybe I'm gonna, I understand. I have a goal. I want to create some value for myself, and I want to, buy some silver, and maybe they're gonna not buy right now. What's your thought on? Give us a couple reasons from here that you think might have silver pull back a little bit, and then what would cause it to pull back and stay repressed for a long period of time for people that might be making a decision right now?
Nothing goes up in a straight line forever. In a bull market, there ebbs and flows, peaks and troughs, and peaks and troughs, as long as that uptrend remains in place. That's where we're at today. We are solidly in a bull market for silver. Favor in silver has moved from gold, and now interest and transition is moving more heavily towards silver now that the momentum has been established in gold. What I would suggest for people who might not want to participate right now is if you wait for a dip, that's great. The dip might not come. The dip could just not even happen and just keep going up.
I was just listening to Scott Besson earlier talk about a couple of different ways that they might be able to pseudo-implement tariffs if our Supreme Court rules that the implementation of tariffs were illegal and they have to unwind them. Would that cause it? Let's say that there is no way to implement a tariff-style imposition on imports. Would that cause a sustained dip in silver?
It would cause some volatility, but I don't think tariffs would have the potent potential to disrupt the supply-demand fundamentals. And so to answer your question specifically, demand would have to go way down. It's not going to happen unless we have a recession or a depression. But as soon as that recession or depression is over, there's demand again. Government austerity would have to return. But
we also have, if there's a recession in the U.S., we have other economies where there's going to be a demand that continues. Okay. Anything else before we wrap it up?
No, I think that's kind of it. It's just kind of high-level overview of silver. There's a lot to this market. It's a very interesting market. It's changing rapidly. This is my personal belief. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but I would say that in order for there to be true price discovery for silver, it would have to become a market that is not bound by a paper derivatives market. So I think the COMEX and the LBMA would need to blow up and go away, and silver's price be set on its utility out there rather than speculative paper markets where futures, options, and forwards are being traded.
Okay, so now we'll do another episode on what would cause the COMEX and the LBMA to erode or blow up.
We have a little taste of that right now. It's being suggested that there are participants in the Mumbai market, in the Shanghai market, that are gobbling up a lot of silver. And supposedly there's going to be some kind of settlement in the next few months where someone's trying to settle for more silver than actually exists in the LBMA.
Okay.
Stay tuned for that update. We'll see if that actually materializes.
Fantastic. Kyle, anything else you want to say before we complete?
No, I just want to say thank you for joining us here at Bullion Standard, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, we sincerely appreciate your time. Charlie, do you have any wrap-up thoughts, departing thoughts you'd like to share with our viewers, subscribers, and Bullion Standard Pro members?
Yeah, I mean, really at the end of the day, I hope everyone just gets a lot of good self-care. Take care of yourself. When we're in the volatility, the best thing you can do is, make sure you get lots of sleep, eat right, get some exercise, create a good foundation for yourself so you're grounded, stable, and you can ride through any of the volatile waves of the precious metal markets and everything else in life. So, we appreciate everyone. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, if you found this video useful, we would sincerely appreciate it if you liked, shared, subscribed. We would appreciate it if you checked out bullionstandard.com/pro. You could sign up for a Bullion Standard Pro member account and be able to trade in unlimited quantity at market maker bid-ask pricing, the same way that all dealers, institutions, retailers, coin shops, everybody that has access to the wholesale market for precious metals trades at.
What a great value.
All right, Charlie, until next time, signing off for now.